west of A to Z. Southbound 170 bogs down at Delmar. North 170 north of the Rock Road up to 70. That's slow. North 270, the right lane's north at Orser, a little heavy. South 270, south of Page, down to Ladue is busy. Clayton Road down to about Doherty Ferry and approaching 44 through Gravois. That's all slow. Westbound 64 on the brakes, Boyle through the Science Center. Then it's slow to Clayton Skinker, slow approaching Ballas. Topgolf most of the way through the valleys, busy, and Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to 70 is kind of heavy. If you're on southbound 55 south of Arsenal to Bates, you've got a pretty heavy backup through there. Westbound 44 downtown is slow through the Arch Grounds. Next update at 5:20 from the Michaels Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
Brought to you by Jack in the Box.
Spending 2 hours staring at the back of someone's bumper isn't the best way to end your day. So Jack in the Box is giving you a bonus with their new Bonus Jack Combo. Fries, a drink, and a burger with your choice of 1, 2, or 3 patties starting at just $4.49. Get so much more.
News, traffic, and the latest on the Redbirds. This is the Redbird Rush Hour on KMOX.
Well, the 24-hour counter officially got started about 7 minutes ago. We are now 23 hours and 53 minutes away from Major League Baseball's trade deadline. We'll see what happens with the Cardinals between now and then. Welcome into the Redbird Rush Hour alongside of Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. If you want to get in with us, you can do so. For those of you watching on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, you can just leave a comment in the chat. And for those of you who are listening to us, feel free to text in at 314-436-7900. Bernie, not only are we less than 24 hours from the trade deadline, we're now less than 2 hours away from this stupid heat advisory to be over, and it's actually going to cool down a little bit.
That sounds really good. And things are heating up, however, on the trade market. There's a couple really interesting deals today, so I'm sure we'll get into that, and we're waiting on John Mozeliak to see what he's going to come up with.
Yeah, we are, and we'll get, like I said, you said, we'll get in that in a second. I just wanted to get some perspective, though, for you, because you've covered this game, this team for so long, and I know you've been in the Cardinals clubhouse on trade deadline day time and time and time again. It's always kind of a weird day for me because it's a group of teammates who today is the last game that they're going to play together. This team, as we know it right now, there's going to be guys who are removed from this team and they're never going to be the same again. And there's just, it's not a dark cloud, but man, it's one of the weirder vibes that you deal with on an every year basis.
Yeah. And in the Cardinals case, Ryan Helsley is the most senior Cardinal as far as who's been here the longest. And he's beloved by his teammates. They respect him. He's a really good guy. So there will be some emotions if and when he leaves. Phil Maton's first year here, but everybody loves this guy and total pro. The respect they have for him, I think Cardinals players are going to tell him, hey, sign back with us next year. And then you have Steven Matz, who 4 seasons with the Cardinals. And listen, really good person. And he feels really bad that he had injuries and wasn't able to do what he thought he would do for the Cardinals. But he's another guy who's earned a lot of respect in that clubhouse. So it'll be tough for him. Today and for them today, I was watching just a highlight of, the Mets, the Mets and Giants making that trade. And a really good young reliever, Jose Buto, went from the Mets to the Giants. And as he was leaving the bullpen after he got word of that, he was getting emotional. He was crying. So that's an example, and that's the first time the kid's been traded. So it's a whole new world for him. Yeah, there's a lot of emotions when trades go down.
I talked to Thomas Sajaci about this a couple of days ago because admittedly he was in the minor leagues, but he was part of one of these trade deadline deals a couple of years ago, and he talked about how weird it is just in the middle of the season to be plucked off your team and just put into a clubhouse where you don't know anybody. And it's a very odd thing to experience. It's part of baseball. And I don't want to look, there's a lot more important baseball stuff to actually talk about. I don't want to spend too much time on the emotional part of it, but it's a thing that has to be dealt with. And tomorrow is going to be weird, Bernie, because it's an off day. The club's going to San Diego. Phil Maton's going to be on that plane after the game tonight. So guys, a lot of times on off days in a city, maybe you'll do a little sightseeing, maybe you'll take the family with you, whatever it might be. What for some of these guys, are they just going to be sitting in their hotel room in San Diego tomorrow waiting to see if John Mozeliak gives them a call?
Exactly. And, and who knows what else might come along. And there'll be a lot of scrambling in terms of trying to get, if you're out there in San Diego, you get traded, you're going to have to make very quick arrangements. And this after, flying halfway across the country tonight. And the other thing, I'll be real quick about this, Matt. The other thing, too, is like sometimes a guy in effect's been told he's traded, and it turns out the trade falls apart.
Yeah.
That happened to Wilson Contreras, his walk year with the Cubs. He thought he was going to Houston.
Mm-hmm.
They told him, hey, listen, we just want to let you know, it's not official, but, looks like we're trading you to Houston. And he's hugging people, and he's getting emotional, and then it's like, wait a minute, hold on. No. It fell through. So that's a guy who thought he was getting traded and got emotional and then wasn't traded. And so you never know what's going to happen. Again, how about the pitcher for the Orioles pitching for both teams in the doubleheader?
Sir Anthony Dominguez. Yeah. Just crazy stuff like that.
He pitched for the Orioles in the first game, went down the hall, got into a new uniform, and then pitched against the Orioles in relief in the second game. That's a first for me. That's a first for me, for sure.
Wasn't it Wilmer Flores that was crying at shortstop a few years ago from the Mets that he thought he was getting traded? And he's getting the rumors as the game was going on. So it's a challenging day. That's the only point that I was trying to make. And I'm long-winded on this, but it is a challenging day. And I always like to remember those types of things when we get into it. You mentioned that Mets deal. And look, I've been I'm not trying to be like captain, throw water on anything that could be good. But I've been the guy that's like, listen, let's temper expectations on what the Cardinals are going to give back. That's been my talking point. And then I look at this Tyler Rogers deal today, and going back to the Giants, you mentioned Jose Buto's a good young player. Outfield prospect Drew Gilbert, who's I think a top 10 prospect in the organization, and then right-handed pitching prospect Blade Tidwell. That's a heck of a return for Tyler Rogers, and that starts to pique my interest a little bit because I say, if that's what Tyler Rogers is going to get, what can the Cardinals go get for Ryan Helsley?
No, you and I are on the same wavelength. Listen, I was starting to have some doubts too about, hey, listen, are we overestimating what the Cardinals could get? Let's just keep it at Helsley, what they could get for Helsley. And I was starting to think, it could be that it's not going to be this bonanza. And then this trade came down, as you said. And listen, Tyler Rogers is very, very, very good. Don't get me wrong. But he's also a walk-year guy like Helsley. And, the Giants, and it's interesting that Buster Posey, who's really competitive, he's bailing out. He's bailing out on trying to make the playoffs. But Buto is a very talented young arm, a lot of years of control left. And according to Keith Law, those two other prospects they got, he said, there's no doubt about it. They'll be major leaguers. So that was a really nice haul for the Giants. I don't think there's any question about it. And I think it at least bodes well for the Cardinals, unless maybe, I don't know, there's always a case of something falling through, or maybe John Mozeliak overplays his hand. I don't know. But it's a good omen. It's a good sign for the Cardinals.
I know we like to beat up on John Mozeliak every once in a while, as a lot of people do. A lot of people take issue with his trade deadlines. I don't think it's terrible, his track record. Where are you at on that?
Listen, I try to be fair, and I actually, and I'm hardly like the president of the Mo fan club. I've been really tough on him, but it really bothers me when, whenever he clearly has made some really great trades, people will try to push back and say, that wasn't a great trade. Listen, I get it. If you can't stand John Mozeliak, I get it. But what I would say is keep your baseball opinions out of it, because you're not capable of being objective because you hate him so much. Like in 2022, I'm telling you what, man, those deals for Jose Quintana and Jordan Montgomery were fantastic. The Cardinals were really hurting in their rotation, really hurting. Those two guys, and when he gave up Bader and he gave up a couple of prospects, it was just not a big deal. They didn't lose anything. Those two guys, when they came over here, when they started a game, either Montgomery or Quintana, the Cardinals were 17-6. And also, the situation was Quintana had the Phillies beat in game one of the playoffs.
Yep.
And it got away in the ninth inning. Mozeliak had his pitching staff was just like torn to shreds in 2021. They were in trouble. He made really smart deals for J.A. Happ and John Lester. The point is, he didn't get Sandy Koufax, Bernie. No, he needed starters, veteran guys who kind of know the ropes. They're not going to get scared in September. And those two guys did a heck of a job for the Cardinals. The one other more, if I could.
Yeah.
I mean, the Matt Holliday trade was great back in 2009. But the other, there's one that jumps out to me. And when he acquired Edward Mojica at the trade deadline, it was in 2012, I think. Cardinals fans, I was hosting a show, 101 ESPN. Cardinals fans are going nuts. I mean, the text line was just going crazy. I don't even know who this guy is. He goes get some bum we never heard of, blah, blah, blah. The next year, Mojica's in the All-Star game, and Mojica saves 37 games for a team that went to the World Series. And Cardinals fans who I heard from, and there were a lot of them, they were just, they had the machete out. So now, has Mozeliak screwed up? Yeah. But here's the bulletin on this. Every single damn general manager screws up when he makes trades. There's no guarantee you're going to win every trade. I think it bothers me that people will not give him credit for stuff that he has done well.
That's Bernie Nicholas. I'm Matt Pauley. We've got a lot more to get to here on the Redbird Rush Hour leading up to Cardinals baseball right here on your home for the Cardinals, KMOX.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. With thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust us to bring happiness home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
When we started Neovitin back in 2009, we wanted to create a multivitamin that we would take ourselves. That's why we use quality ingredients in our Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin. With over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our physician-formulated proprietary blend, you can be sure you are getting the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin Original Formula multivitamin a try for yourself. Find it at your local Schnucks, Deerbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com. That's Viking.com. Viking.com.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
We got a crash on northbound 270. This traffic reports the service of S&L Coins. It's at the end of the Olive on-ramp to North 270. So both directions of 270 between Olive and 64 are pretty heavy. Southbound's actually south of Page to about Ladue, but it's busy both ways in that general vicinity. And then South 270, again, Clayton Road down to Doherty Ferry, and a little busy approaching 44. Pockets of stop-and-go traffic. Southbound 170, Delmar down to 64. Northbound 170, the Rock Road to 70, slow. Westbound 70, Riverview out through Jennings Station is busy. A little slowdown between 94 and Zumbell and A to Z out in Wentzville. If you're on westbound 64, Jam Kings Highway out to Clayton Skinker, it's slow. Spadey to Ballas. From Long Road out to the Boone Bridge, and from 364 out to Highway 70. Westbound 44, the right lanes are slow west of Lindbergh. Southbound 55, just a little busy. Gaskin A. Bates. And Illinois drivers, we stole this back up. Eastbound 64, 157 and 159. Both directions a little heavy at Green Mountain. Westbound 44 backs up approaching the Poplar downtown. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
S&L Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold-filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call S&L. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. S&L Coin.
You're listening to the Redbird Rush Hour on 1041 KMOX.
We are leading you up to Cardinals baseball tonight. It is the final game of a 3-game series between the Cardinals and the Marlins. Miles Michaelis looking to repeat what he did his last time out. Cal Quantrill will make the start for the Marlins alongside of Bernie Miklasz. I'm Matt Pauley. Great to have you with us. We're talking Cardinals baseball. We're talking trade deadline. I kind of had to laugh with a message that Walt sent in, Bernie, because all I could think of is the TV is everywhere. The talk about trades are everywhere. I remember, was it last year, 2 years ago? The years run together on me. But when we walked into the clubhouse and MLB Network is putting the Dodgers lineup on the board as if Nolan Arenado was a member of the Dodgers, and I'm standing at Nolan's locker talking to him. Like, you just see this crazy stuff that, and I get it. They've got to provide content, but sometimes the stuff gets a little wacky.
Yeah, Walt Mosby, way to go, man, because I forgot about that one. And we appreciate people that, contribute good stuff to the discussion. Any coward can be a troll. So I appreciate intelligent people who have something to add. Thank you. But on that day in San Diego was surreal because Joe Kelly and Craig are just looking at the TV and they're like, what? And teammates were coming over and they're like, what? Wait a minute. Did you guys just get traded? And they were kind of like, well, nobody told us. I don't think so. Maybe it's a mistake. Dang. Like, what's up? They were just floored by that.
Yeah, it's amazing that, and stuff like that just keeps happening. And in the social media age, it's going to happen more and more. And the fact that so many of these baseball insiders are connected to ownership and are connected to agents, and the business of news breaking has become a transactional business where an agent will plan something with a reporter to say something, and then they get something back. So it's a very odd thing when we look at the way sports in general are covered these days. Kelly sends in a message asking how much say does Chaim Bloom have and what happens tomorrow. Mo, I think he's got a bunch. I really feel like this is something that Mo and Chaim are going to be working through together, because Mo has openly talked about the fact that organically at some point in time, these decisions were going to start to become Chaim's when the decisions are impacting 2026 and beyond. And I think we've hit that point.
Yeah, Matt, I think they have a good relationship. I totally believe they have a good relationship. And I totally believe Chaim Bloom has been in the loop all year. We saw Chaim Bloom's influence in the Cardinals draft approach because of his rapport with not only Randy Flores, but some of the Randy Flores. I actually had a great rapport with some of the people that Chaim Bloom brought in down on the minor league player development level. So we saw Bloom's impact there, and it was really exciting. The other thing is that, Chaim Bloom's not going to go around talking, telling people, whispering to people or whatever, oh, yeah, I actually made that trade. I mean, Chaim Bloom's a gentleman. He's got ethics. He's very principled. I really respect him for that. And I find it hard to believe, I really do, that if Chaim Bloom voiced his objection to a trade and said, Mo, I don't like that one. I think here's why. I find it hard to believe Mo's going to basically tell him, get lost, and just ignore it. I will say this, though, very quickly. It still does bother me in a way that, Chaim Bloom's been studying the Cardinals for nearly 2 years. It's not like he just showed up. And the fact that these trades are going to be made by a man on the way out, no matter who that man would be, but he's going to be on the way out. And whatever happens with these trades, either good or bad, but if they're bad, if they don't work out, then Chaim Bloom's the one that has to sort of handle the fallout from trades that went wrong. So if he's going to be the baseball man in charge, I think there's a case to be made. He should have the final say, but it may not be necessary because I think they will agree on what's the right thing to do in a case by case basis.
I would love to just be in rooms and know the dynamics. Something that Ali said yesterday. We played the clip yesterday and we went to one part of it. We didn't go to this part of it. Ali talked a lot about the conversations he's having with Chaim about what it's going to look like in years moving forward. Are those conversations taking place the way that they seem to be if Ali's not a big part of the plans moving forward? So that was just a little small thing that I pulled out from yesterday. And I think I hope as time moves along that there's going to be an opportunity for individuals to open up a little bit about what the dynamics of this year really felt like.
Ollie and Heim Bloom talk a lot, and they have a good relationship. Now, that doesn't mean that at the end of the year, Heim Bloom is automatically going to stay with Ollie going into the final year of the contract. I mean, I'm not going to jump to any conclusions, but they do have a good relationship. They do talk a lot, and I think they're on the same wavelength on a lot of things. Now, Cardinals fans who don't like Ollie Marmol, they're not going to like hearing that, but Heim Bloom gets it. Heim Bloom should have the freedom to do what he thinks best. And if that includes keeping the manager that he has because he respects him, and he thinks he's done a good job in a very tough situation this year, well, so be it. I mean, I'm just not going to go nuts and blast away because it's easy to pander to fans who can't stand Ollie. That's not a good reason for me to blast away.
Alongside of Bernie Miklasz, I'm Matt Pauley. You are locked into the Redbird Rush Hour. We have another 20 or so minutes until we get into Cardinals baseball tonight. Cardinals-Marlins final game of a 3-game set. We've got more coming up here on your home for the Cardinals, 104.1 FM KMOX.
When disaster strikes, the Urban League of Metropolitan St. Louis is there. Tornadoes have left families displaced and communities in crisis, but you can help. The Urban League Tornado Disaster Relief Humanitarian Fund provides emergency shelter, food, clothing, and critical support to those affected. Your donation brings hope when it's needed most. Visit ulstl.com to donate. That's ulstl.com. Stand with us. Stand for St. Louis.
Feel like your paycheck barely keeps up with your life? At the Financial Freedom Seminar, learn how real people are building passive income and retiring early using real estate. It's all happening live in St. Louis with Lifestyles Unlimited, September 27th and 28th. You'll leave with a step-by-step plan to change your future. Text radio to 88007. That's September 27th and 28th. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007 now.
We've been here 30 years. 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
Just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
1 in 4 people surveyed by Bankrate.com say they're literally losing sleep because of worries that they may have not saved enough to retire. If you're ready to get serious about planning for your financial future, you could start by listening to the All Financial Hour with host Steve All of the All Financial Group.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different. If you want assistance, we can also help you at that point.
Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX.
Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius or 2 half geniuses and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
At 5:30, it's a partly cloudy sky. Right now, 89 degrees, but the feels like is 92 downtown at the Arch. St. Louis County Executive Sam Page, indicted by a grand jury, accused of using governmental resources on a political campaign. Does the highest-ranking member of the St. Louis County Council, Chairwoman Rita Hurd-Days, think that Page should step down?
Do you believe that he should resign?
I believe that the county executive needs to do what's in the best interest for he and his family at this particular point. When I'm looking at the ramifications of the county itself, it does not bode well for us to have a leader who is divided. And clearly, this is going to be something that's taken away from his duties as county executive. And I think that the county will suffer if he continues in that vein. Again, that's a decision that he has to make. And I do believe, though, in the best interest of the county, that he should resign.
She says Page violated Politics 101, do not mix government and campaigning. The Federal Reserve left its key short-term interest rate unchanged for the 5th time this year, brushing off repeated calls from the president for a cut. As for what's ahead, the chair, Jerome Powell, says,
we haven't made any decisions about September. We'll be monitoring all the incoming data and asking ourselves whether the federal funds rate is in the right place.
There were some signs of splits in the Fed's ranks. 2 governors voted to reduce borrowing costs, while 9 officials, including the chair, favored standing pat. If you use ChatGPT, your privacy could be in peril. OpenAI CEO and St. Louis native Sam Altman is pointing the finger at the New York Times. The paper sued the platform for copyright infringement, alleging the company used Time's work to train its chatbot.
The court ordered back in May that ChatGPT has to save and archive every chat question, every chat response, and even undelete some of the prior deleted chat discussions in order to preserve evidence that might be used against ChatGPT in the lawsuit.
KMOX legal analyst Brad Young tells KMOX ChatGPT previously allowed users to delete those items. It's the largest dog rescue in more than a decade.
The Humane Society of Missouri's Animal Cruelty Task Force is rescuing 150 dogs from a hoarding situation in Christian County. They are all small breeds like Shih Tzus and Chihuahuas with matted hair, infections, and skin conditions. The task force found out about the dogs.
That is KMOX's Beth Coughlin. NASA gave an update today on the Artemis 2 mission, which will send astronauts around the moon. CBS space consultant Bill Harwood says it does not look as though concerns about the heat shields will impact the launch timeline.
NASA carried out an independent review of some heat shield problems that cropped up during the first Artemis flight. That was an unpiloted version. They did have some problems with that heat shield, but the analysis says that the Artemis 2 crew should be okay. They've changed the reentry trajectory slightly to mean less heat, less sustained heat on that heat shield when they come back to Earth.
The launch to send astronauts around the moon could happen as early as February of next year. Well, they thought they were getting energy drinks, but the FDA says some cans actually have alcohol in them.
Beverage brand High Noon is recalling some of its vodka seltzer packs because some cans are mislabeled as non-alcoholic energy drinks, creating the potential for unintended alcohol consumption. The FDA says some 12 packs say they're the Celsius Astro Vibe energy drink, but they're actually alcoholic seltzers. The affected Celsius cans have a silver lid instead of a black one. The recalled packs were shipped to distributors in Florida, Michigan, New York, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Virginia, and Wisconsin. Matt Piper, CBS News.
Could have some scattered storms tonight, low 71. For tomorrow, mix of clouds and sun, scattered showers, and cooler with a high of 82. Right now, 89, feels like 92 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Hi, I'm Andrew Suntrup. Buying your brand new Buick or GMC has never been easier. Here at Suntrup Buick GMC, our family-owned and operated dealership has been proudly servicing St. Charles County for over 30 years by always providing aggressive pricing, a massive inventory selection, and exceptional customer service. Buying from Suntrup means you get the best vehicle at the best price. Visit Suntrup Buick GMC today or visit us online at suntrupbuickgmc.com and save more at Suntrup Buick GMC.
You know, there's things that all of us need to worry about in our homes. Luckily for me and for everybody else who has i3 broadband, home internet, not one of those things. I love i3 broadband. I've had all kinds of different providers. I've had the cable company. I've had the standard big companies. You always get frustrated because the service isn't reliable. You're spending way too much money on it, and it doesn't perform at the level that you would like it to. Well, that's not the case with i3 broadband. We've got the 2 gig up, 2 gig up, 2 gig down package at our home. We are paying less for that than what we did for what was lesser service from the cable company. And with the cable company, the internet just drops out randomly at random times, and you don't know why, and you don't know, is it actually down? Do I need to go reset the router? Do you have to do all that sort of stuff? Just a normal experience. That's not a normal experience with i3 broadband. See if they're available in your neighborhood. You can head to i3broadband.com. put your address in. If you've done that before and they weren't available, do it again. They're always adding more neighborhoods throughout the St. Louis area, or just give them a call and they can answer all your questions that you got. 877-976-0711. That's 877-976-0711 for i3 Broadband.
That baby's gone! Cardinals fans, FanDuel Sports Network is your home of the Cardinals. That ball was mashed. And there are more ways to watch this season. Holy cow! Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream the Cardinals without blackouts. How about that play? Or watch through a TV provider. Incredible! Including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. He got it! Learn more at cardinals.com/TV. Ball game! That couldn't have worked out any better for the Cardinals.
Soccer fans, St. Louis City SC hosts English Premier League giants, the Aston Villa Football Club. Wednesday, July 30th, 7:30 p.m. at Energizer Park. Reserve your seat for this historic match now at stlcitysc.com/tickets. St. Louis City versus Aston Villa, presented by Purina.
This is the Redbird Rush Hour on 104.1 KMOX.
Have you for just under 15 more minutes as we lead you into Cardinals baseball right here on KMOX. It is time for our Game Day Men's Health Peak Performer. Game Day Men's Health, get back to the top of your game. Bernie, I'm going to go with Matt Swanson. And I was looking at some numbers yesterday because he had another scoreless outing yesterday. He has been unscored upon in 9 of his last 12 outings, which is pretty darn good. And then if he were to be an innings qualifier, and there's a lot of guys who are not innings qualifiers that you could say what I'm about to say about him, but if he was an innings qualifier, his 162 average against would be number 1 in all of Major League Baseball. Right now, Paul Skeens is the leader at 184, and his whip of .86 would be second between Tarek Skubal's .84 and Zach Wheeler's .89. Matt Swanson's given this team some really good production.
You know, there's another good trade made by John Mozeliak. He got Matt Swanson, who's clearly talented and clearly will have I think, an increasingly important role with the Cardinals going forward, and probably have a really good career here. He got him for Paul DeYoung, who the Cardinals weren't even, playing. And so that's a really good trade. It's an under the radar trade, but that's a really good trade. So I share your enthusiasm for Matt Swanson. I really do. Well, I'll throw my little 2 cents in here. Shout out to Yoel Pozo. I always mispronounce his first name. He's back in the lineup again tonight. I think it's a good thing that Ali Marmol is mixing him in more in terms of catching rather than just being a DH, because, as much as we like Pedro Pages, I mean, he's in the throes of a hitting slump. It's as bad as anything I've seen in a while. I mean, it's just tough. He's just not getting anything done. He's been striking out. So good on Marmol for using Pozo more and more as a starting catcher.
You can't run away from his offensive numbers. 294 hitter. He comes up with clutch hits. He's just he's everything you want out of somebody in that role, and it's been good to see what Pozo has been able to do. We'll break for traffic right now. We'll break just a few seconds early because we'll have a few moments left on the other side to talk about some of the other trades that have gone on today. And also I want to talk a little bit more about Cardinals relief pitching and what it might look like past the deadline. So that's all coming up. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and take a look at traffic, and then we'll be right back.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we got a few crashes out there right now. This traffic reports a service of Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano. One of them, a new one here, southbound 270 north of 55. It's blocking the right, center, and center lanes. Traffic's bogged down midway between Gravois and Tesson Ferry on South 270. North 270 north of Olive. That crash is still out on the right shoulder. Traffic's backed up at 64. We got a crash on the left shoulder, partially in the left lane. This one's westbound 70 before the Blanchette Bridge. Traffic's backing up coming off the 270 ramps there. North 170 north of the Rock Road up to 70 heavy. South 170 south of Delmar Ladue area down to 64 slow. Westbound 64 jam Kings Highway to Clayton Skinker both ways between Spady and Clayton Warson. You're kind of heavy. Eastbound, of course, around the Interbelt. McKnight through Big Bend. Ballgame traffic delays there. And downtown, westbound 44 still heavy approaching the Poplar. Eastbound 64, 157 still backed up most of the way to 159. And westbound a little slow at Greenmount. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Brought to you by Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano, YourEstateMatters.com. Hi, Margaret at Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano. We all have one thing in common. We're all going to die. Do you have an estate plan? Eamon Gantner and Capriano, YourEstateMatters.com. The choice of an attorney is an important decision that should not be based solely on advertisement.
About 3 minutes left in this edition of the Redbird Rush Hour. Bernie Miklasz is there. I'm Matt Pauley coming your way from Busch Stadium. Bernie, I find it interesting to see which teams are going buying and which teams are selling. The teams right around the Cardinals are doing different things. The Reds, they buy today. They go get Brian Hayes. The Giants are obviously very much selling. So the Cardinals seem to be at that line of demarcation of, are you going to be a buyer or are you going to be a seller in the National League?
Yeah, and the Cardinals, I think their position has strengthened because of the Rodgers trade, a really good reliever coming off the market there from San Francisco to the Mets. And then, of course, it's being reported, in fact, it's been confirmed, the Phillies have acquired, what's his name, the Minnesota reliever. I lost my spot here.
Is that the Duran deal or no?
Yeah, Yoan Duran. I'm sorry about that. I had it written down, but I was getting lost in my papers. And I tell you what, the Phillies gave up two really good prospects for that. I mean, I know Mick Abel hasn't cracked through yet, starting pitcher, but he was a 15th pick in the 2020 draft, and he's got a lot of talent. And this catcher, Eduardo Tate, that the Twins picked up, he's a highly regarded prospect. So that's two valuable prospects potentially for a walk-year reliever. And I think, again, that bodes well for the Cardinals. And because every reliever that goes off the board, that means Ryan Helsley becomes more important, right?
Yes, unless it's a team that was interested in him and is no longer interested. But generally speaking, yes, I would agree with what you said. I've resigned myself to the fact that the bullpen is going to lose some key pieces. I'm a little bit excited. We talked about Matt Swanson earlier, Riley O'Brien, Gordon Graceffo, Andre Granillo. We'll see what Ryan Fernandez looks like once he gets another big league opportunity. I'm not sitting here and trying to say, the Cardinals are going to be just fine. The bullpen's going to be just as good. Obviously, the bullpen's not going to be as good. But one of my baseball flaws is I fall in love with relief pitchers. I always see the best in them. And I like this group of guys, young group that I think we're going to see more of from the Cardinals moving forward.
Well, exactly. I mean, this has been one of the successes of the so-called runway season because a lot of those guys, the Cardinals liked them, but they weren't convinced of anything. They kind of kept an open mind, but they weren't going crazy saying, oh, man, look at all these guys we get. No. And these guys were given a chance to prove it, and at least for this year, they've proved it. So they have a deeper, much deeper supply of relievers, and I'm not saying it can replace right away the impact if, let's say these 3 or 4 relievers get traded. It's not going to be like an immediate, okay, we're good, we got these guys, we'll plug them in. But they have increased depth in their relief core, and that's a positive thing. And I would put Kyle Leahy in there because even though he's not a kid, this is the first time Kyle Leahy has ever been used in a leverage role, and he's been very, very good. He did hit a bump there for a while. He had to make some adjustments. That's part of the game. But Kyle Leahy is another guy who has taken advantage of the opportunity coming out of the bullpen.
And to your credit, Bernie, before the season even got started, you were talking about his high leverage numbers from last year. So you were on top of that one from the beginning. Great stuff, Bernie. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Cardinals baseball on the way next right here on KMOX.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable